Welcome to the Inspiration North podcast, inspiring stories from inspirational people and how they found their passion, their true north. I'm James Eves.
And I'm Michelle Minikin, and this is the Inspiration North podcast.
Today's episode, it's never too late to work on your passion with Dennis Westgate. We talk about working as a Geordie in Yorkshire, the invention of the printing process for scratch cards, how an impromptu sales call changed his life and business, his love of musical theatre and his own writing, and his desire to give young people an opportunity to perform original songs and musicals.
Dennis Alfred Westgate's story began in a very musical household in Byker, Newcastle. And after a career spanning the railway, films, printing and running his own printing business, he retired and began to work on his passion. Now, Dennis is an 82-year-old composer, lyricist, playwright, author and founder of Tyne Music. He has received great reviews from previous productions at the Joseph Rowntree Theatre in York and Bridlington Spa Theatre. Now he is collaborating with others to showcase his work to a wider audience.
So we'll start from the beginning.
I was born in Byker, how about that? I'm a Byker boy, born within the sound or the sight of the Tyne, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a genuine Byker lad. Of course, I mean, I just had an upbringing like any other young guy that age. Things were very hard just after the war because I was born in 1936.
Mm-hmm.
So I was 9 years old when the war ended. So I don't have a lot of recollections of those years, except to hear the warden come down the streets shouting, "Put that light out, put that light out," which you had to do in those days because every door, every window and door had to be blackened out because of the light for the bombers flying over, you see, they could pinpoint. So there was very little light at night, virtually pitch black. So I don't remember that. I remember occasionally the bombing in Newcastle, because there was quite a bit at one time. The Vickers factories were here along the Tyne, building the tanks and all the war equipment. There was a lot of goods shipped into Newcastle for distribution, munitions and food and everything. So I mean, I do remember things like that. I remember the bombs dropping on the goods yards because it was full of munitions and full of food, full of oil. So I didn't live very far from there, about 2 miles. So you can imagine the noise that there was. I was just a young kid and quite frightened. But after that, of course, I just developed like any schoolboy would. Didn't go to a lot of school. Most of the children were evacuated. I wasn't, because my mother was in charge of the young children who weren't evacuated in the Byker area.
Okay.
So she had them all together in Headlam Street School, where she entertained them all, kept them all quiet and busy during the day. So I was part of that scene. And of course my mother ran a concert party from that called the Rainbow Revels, which consisted of 90 kids.
Oh, wow.
90 kids, and we lived in a council house. And she taught these kids in the council house. They all used to sit all the way up the stairs. I can remember as well. And then she pulled the carpet up downstairs, and they used to teach them all tap dancing.
Brilliant.
And of course we used to entertain. After the war, as you can understand, there were a lot of widows, widow children. One of the things I do remember of that, I was going to school one day, and one of my little schoolmates was standing in the schoolyard crying, and I said, "Oh, what's wrong? He said, he says, "My daddy's not coming home." I said, "Not coming home? Where's he, like, He said, he's died in the war, And of course, I mean, to a young kid, it just didn't quite mean a lot.
To understand.
I realise now, quite a few of the kids in the class, their fathers were all killed in the war, you know, which was the common thing. So that's why my mother had this entertainment group called the Rainbow Revels, and we used to put 2 or 3 concerts on a year. The main ones were the summer one and the winter one, and we used to take the kids around, the whole 92, we used to have 2 buses, to the infirmary, the hospital, to all the children's wards, and we used to head to the firemen's children, the Air Force, the Army and the Navy. They all had halls, of course, in the area, and they had the parties for the kids. So we used to do all the entertainment there. My mother used to dress up as Santa Claus. And my father used to dress up as a clown and play the mouth organ. He was a very good organist, the mouth organist. And we did that for years and years and years. Obviously, right away into the 70s. I got too old, of course. By the time I reached 17, I was too old for that sort of thing. Concert parties, you know. I went my own way. But by this time I was working.
What did you start in first?
Well, my sister married a guy who worked on the railways. He was chief clerk in Heaton, in the big offices there. And Reedy, my sister, she was a junior clerk. And of course, they met, and of course they talked, and eventually they got married. So when I got to 15, which was the time that you had to leave school then, Tom, my brother-in-law, said to me, I know just a job for you when you leave school, get yourself on the railways. I mean, there was no ifs or buts, it was get yourself on the railways. I'll get the forms, I'll get them filled in, send them off. So I did, I filled the forms in. Had to go down to York to sit the railway exam. And that was the first time I'd been out in Newcastle, really. Down to York, a long way. So I passed the railway exam and went on to the railways. And I went as a counter clerk, which was responsible for writing all the wagons that came in. I was in what they call the walker yard, and a lot of the goods trains were coming in every day and being shunted out again, you see. So my job was to go every day and take the numbers of all the wagons that came in.
Okay.
And there was all different kinds, obviously. A lot of the wagons that came in were for the boneyard. So there were old bones that were taken down to the glue factory to be ground down and turned into glue. Well, I mean, you can imagine the smell. I mean, it was well known in Newcastle. Everybody knew when the glue works were starting up because you could smell the glue works, and it travelled for miles. Well, of course, I was so close to it because I was actually taking the numbers of the wagons that held the maggoty bones, which were sticking. So needless to say, I didn't stop there very long.
Didn't stop for long.
No, I left the railway, much to the chagrin of my brother. I was very annoyed. But I mean, I just couldn't stand it. So I decided, I've had enough of this. I'm going to have a nice open air job. I'll get myself a job on the farms.
Where was that? Was that outside of Newcastle then, obviously?
Just on the outskirts.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name. I think it was Meadowfield.
Meadowfield, yes.
Meadowfield Farm. So I went up there. I ended up there 16 and a half, digging silage. Well, if you know anything about digging silage, needless to say, I only stuck that for 3 months. I was ill really with that. So I gave that up. So I went back to the job centre and I said, look, I can't stop you because I was very strict about leaving work, you know, because you got no money at all. Once you left, that was it. So I went, I said, look, I can't stay there. I must get another job. So the guy said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I was on the railway as the clerk. Oh, why don't you go back into the clerk? I said, well, I don't know. I'll see. He said, let's have a look, see. So he goes through his cards and he pulls this one out and says, there's one here. He says, it's in Newcastle. It's for the Columbia Pictures Corporation.
Okay.
Well, I thought, Columbia Pictures Corporation. I was in the pictures virtually every day of the week, so it was cheap then. And Columbia Pictures just had a vision in my mind of working with the stars and that, So he says, well, they're looking for a telephonist. Do you know anything about telephones? I said, well, I can pick one up and answer it. He says, that'll do. He says, just get yourself down. He says, they're desperate. Get yourself down there and see if you can be accepted. So I took my little card and went into this place. It's typical of the 1960s offices where you had a glass front, then you had a walk-in and a barrier, the gate. Then you had all the typists sitting down on the side. And at the far end, you had a sort of another little barrier and a walkway. And then the back was the main office where the all windows and the name on the front. You know, got something Rose manager, you know.
Yeah.
So of course I had a little call to the girl and she says, I've done it, just a minute. So off she paddles and goes down, knocks on the door, big booming voice, you know, come in, you know. So it's a goes, and you can hear his voice when she shut the door, like, and she come out and says, go down and see Mr. Rose. So off her paddles down, you know, all the girls the other side. And knocks on the door, and of course the same thing, come in, and I go, well, here is Mr. Rose. Well, exactly what you would imagine. This great big fella with a big cigar sitting behind this massive desk, about 16 foot on his desk, you know, and a big massive pallet chair he was sitting in, and he said, sit down, of course. I sat in one of the chairs, and now then, he says, looking at the card, Dennis. Now then, Dennis, he says, how much experience have you got on telephone? I said, well, very little. He says, well, how quickly can you learn? I said, well, how quickly want to learn? He says, like today. I said, today? He says, yeah, well, like this afternoon. I said, well, I suppose so. He said, well, look, he says, if you think you can do it, come back this afternoon, we'll set you up, and if it's okay with you, and if you're all right, you've got the job. And I got the job, of course.
Great.
You know. Unfortunately, I mean, I loved the job, I loved the man, I loved everything about it. I took ill, I took rheumatic fever, which in those days was a very, very serious illness, you know. It's a virus, rheumatic fever, and I ended up being rushed down to North Shields Hospital, and I was laid up there for 5 months.
Wow, it's a long time.
Well, it is, because as you see, nowadays you're in and out. You know, I'm going in for for operation shortly. If I get through it, I'll be out in a week.
Yes.
But rheumatic fever to them was, you mustn't get on the floor, you mustn't put your feet on the floor, you're not allowed, you know. So I had to lie in this bed, and the wards were something to be believed there, because all the bottom half of the walls were painted brown and the top half were dark green, you know. Really modern. And all the beds were in the same place.
Yes.
So everybody was in the same room, and down the centre was a big table, and at the top sat the nurse. If you've watched the Carry On Nurse, that's the way it was. Okay. So I was a young lad at 16 and a half, and stuck, well, most of these were old people, old men, you know. But I was stuck there for 5 months, and then I was sent home, and I had to stay at home in bed again for another 3 months. So it was a long time to be out of you know. But my parents had me upstairs in the bedroom, and they put the bed on blocks, so I was level with the window. So I could
see out.
I was like Lord Muck, you know, waving to everybody went past, you know. Good morning, Dennis. Good morning, Mrs. Ray. And of course, all this time, the concert party was still coming in.
Of
Still sitting on the staircase.
all the 90 kids in
And
the
they're
house.
still rehearsing downstairs, yes. Yes. But, you know, that was it. And that was my youth, really. And eventually I got through all that, and then we moved house, because my father was a park gardener, what they call a parkie, and they don't have them now, but they had a park ranger who was responsible for the park all the time. But believe it or not, there was still paedophiles then, as there are now, and their job was to walk around and keep an eye on the young kids, because there was an awful lot of young kids in those days playing in the parks, because there was no television, you know, nothing like that. So the main source of entertainment was to go on the swings and roundabouts and play marbles with my dad, you know. And because I had a big, massive pool, fish pond, at the bottom of the park, which he had to drain and clean and fill again and such. So I, when I was a young man, when I was working, weekends I used to go and see my dad in the park with my dad, you know. We used to chat about things and play marbles and whatnot. And then we moved to Long Benton, and then I met my wife through my mother again, I suppose, because I got myself involved with the local church, with the Methodist church, and I used to go and play the piano, for the youth club, for dances and whatnot. I wasn't that good, but it was good enough because we had the record player. And that's how I met Lil. Lil, my wife. Strange as it may seem, she had exactly the same problem as I had. She had rheumatic fever, which affects your heart. It gives you a ticking heart. So we were both souls together. And we decided to get married because I proposed to a gentleman dean beside the waterfall.
Lovely location, yeah.
Oh, beautiful, yes. Beautiful. And that was in this Easter. We were married by the August. We decided to get married because my wife didn't really get on with her parents. Well, I was very, very protective, She couldn't go anywhere. If she went to the dance, the father had to take her there and sit outside and wait for her and bring her home again at night, that kind of thing. So she wasn't too happy about me. But needless to say, we decided to get married, and of course I went in to see my boss. By this time I was working for a printers called Dennis Wellborn Limited, who were legal and law stationers situated in the cloth market in Newcastle.
So you're doing all the different letters and communications.
That's right. Well, I started there as a messenger boy. One of these bicycles with a basket in the front.
Great.
And my job was to put the parcels in the basket and take them and deliver them every day to the local, mostly solicitors and accountants. So that was my job. And eventually I got to learn how to do the work in the warehouse. And then they put me on the guillotines. This was all very quickly. And then I learned how to run the offset machine. So within 12 months, I'd learned all these things. Of course, I had to go for my call-up, which actually I failed. Having a rheumatic fever and a dicky heart. There's no way they were going to put me in the army. Yes. So I had to stop at home. All my mates went away and I was sick as a pig. But never mind. So that was 18. So by this time I was 20. And I got proposed to Lil, and I thought, well, I'd better go and tell the boss upstairs that I'm going to get some time off, you see. Get married. So I go upstairs as Mr. Peacock, and I said, oh, Mr. Peacock, I'll need some time off. He says, when? I says, well, in August. August? I said, aye. Because he gives me a funny look. I said, oh, yeah, August, okay. Why? I said, well, I'm getting married. You're getting married? You're getting married? I said, yes, there's something wrong. We're getting married, He said, oh, no, but you are getting married and you want time off in August. I take it that's because you're getting married in August. I said, yes. I said, all right. He said, oh, yes, oh, it's fine, no problem, no, there you go. Of course, I wandered off downstairs to get thinking something,
Something wrong with Mr. Peacock.
Something wrong with Mr. Peacock, something wrong with me, But in the afternoon, the boss himself, Mr. Wellborn, who was a Yorkshireman, he came up from Newcastle. He used to come up once a week, I thought, because he lived down in Leyburn. So he came up and said to me, oh, Dennis, a word. I thought, oh, here we go. I'm going to get fired because I'm getting married. So he says, Mr. Peacock tells me that you're getting married. Well, by this time I was getting a bit annoyed, Is there something wrong with me getting married? I'm not allowed. I'm 20 odd. He said, oh, no. He said, no. Get the hackles up. He said, I'll tell you what it is. It's something we were not going to disclose at the moment because it's still in the pipeline. He says, but I'll have to tell you because you're getting married. He says, end of July, he says, we're closing the company down in Newcastle. I said, closing it? He says, oh, I'm afraid you're going to be out of work. I said, oh, blimey. He said, well, but, he said, the point is that Mr. Peacock and I were chatting about you last week and said, would it be nice to invite Dennis down to sort of take over the printing department there because it's all new, because, we need somebody there who is already familiar with what we do, with the stock and everything. He said, so we were going to ask you to see, but he said, no, I can see how important it is. So he said, we'll put this proposition to you. He says, if you're willing to come down after you're married in August I will buy you a little house down there for you and your wife to set up and get you going. Okay.
It's very generous,
So,
isn't it?
well, it was, but at the same time I was thinking, Yorkshire, Pudsey, put where's Pudsey, between Leeds and Bradford, and thought that was concerned. There was no Pudsey bear then, you see.
Yes.
Pudsey.
I went straight for the bear.
Aye, well, I know, Pudsey. So I said, well,
End of the world, isn't it?
indeed. So I said, well, I'll have to. He said, well, you've got to talk it over with your future wife, of course. And of course, I went to her. And I said to Lil, bad news. She says, what's the matter? You've lost your job. I says, well, almost. She says, why? I said, well, they're closing the company down. I said, nobody's supposed to know. I can't tell the rest of the staff. But nobody's supposed to know that, he's moving the whole thing down to Yorkshire. Oh, she said, what are you going to do for a job? I said, it's not that easy at the moment. She says, well, he has offered me a post down there, But I said, I said, I'll be a fish out of water down there. But she said, oh, Dennis, let's go. I said, what, you want to go? She said, yeah, definitely, I want to go. I said, you sure? Positive. Please, can we go? Because I told her by this time we're going to have a house, She said, it's going to be fat smashing, perfect, just the job. So I said, okay, right you are. I'll go back and tell the bosses, which I did. And of course, we got married in the August, and I went for a honeymoon down at Scarborough, came back, then I went straight back down to Pudsey, left Lynn at home with her parents, so I could go down and supervise the stuff and whatnot, and move into the south and get some furniture and whatnot, which I did. And by the time September came, she was down with me, living in Pudsey. And I was down there for 15 years.
Wow. How did you settle in?
I never did. I never. I just couldn't settle. I was just a Geordie lad at heart, and of course, as far as the Yorkshire people are lovely, but they're not Geordies. And as far as they were concerned, I was Scottish, And I kept on saying, I'm not from Scotland. Well, you talk like a Scotland. I said, I don't talk like Scottish people. You do. I said, I'm a Geordie. Well, I talk like Scotland. You're still from Scotland. I said, I'm not. So anyway, I could never. My wife changed straight away. She was straight into talking all the Yorkshire brown and everything, And of course, we had 3 kids down there. Unfortunately, she should really have had children, but that's what she wanted more than anything else in her life. They wanted kids, and of course, we had 3, and each one made it worse. And of course, the last one, Carol, was really ill. And I got to this point where I was thinking, well, I'm going to have to, I can't look after these kids and the wife and run this job. The stress was too much. I mean, I was works manager, and I was working 12, 14 hours a day, and it was just getting too much. I thought, I'm going to have to do something about this. I'm going to have to go back to Newcastle.
Because wasn't there, they were talking about directorship, weren't they?
Well, yes, this was the point, you see. Although I was a fish out of water, I do my job.
Yes.
And of course, the Wellborn again called me in, and he said to me, "Oh, Dennis," he said, "I've got something to tell you." And I thought, well, he can't be sacking me. He said, "I'm selling the business." I said, "Oh." He said, "Well, I'm getting up in age because he must have been in his 70s." And he said, "Sell up." So he said, selling to this company called Norton and Wright.
Yep.
Norton and Wright were quite a big firm, well, not a big firm, but a small jobbing printers in Leeds. And one of their staff used to work for me. I'm trying to remember his name, I think it was Gordon. And he used to run the letterpress machines. He came to us, on an audition interview, and I set him on as the letterpress printer. And he was with us about 18 months, and he came in and said, "Look, Dennis," he says, "I've got a better job, more pay, nearer home, so I'm taking it." And I said to him, "Where was it?" He says, "It's a firm called Norton and Wright." He says, "It Leeds." I said, "Okay, well, it's all right, it's up to you." So off he went. Well, of course, when Mr. Wellborn said Norton and Wright, I thought, I know that name. He says, "We'll be coming to see you," he says, "about it." He says, "But," he says, "I must tell you now that your job is safe. You've got no worries about your job. He says, in fact, he says, I've worked it so they will offer you a junior directorship in their company. You know. I said, oh, thank you very much. That's great. And I was like, oh, but I don't want to go home to Newcastle. I don't want to stop here. So about a week or fortnight later, in comes Gordon, you see. And he says, oh, Dennis, says, what's this about me working for you? He says, well, he says, I'm a director there now, you know. He says, oh, yeah. I says, that was quick. He says, why? He says, you wouldn't believe this, but he said, that firm just took off like nobody's business. He said, Norton and Wright, the son, one of the sons was a chemist. And he devised this printing ink that you could actually cover something and rub it off again. He said, dead clever, it's really clever. He said, so he said, because they printed a lot of what he called leak show work and garden work, you know, for allotments and whatnot. All these tickets they used to print. And bingo and housey house things. Remember the bingo tickets we used to market? We used to print out millions of those bingo tickets. And they'd come up with this idea, this new type of lottery ticket, whereby the numbers were already on, covered with ink, and which you couldn't see, obviously, and then you rubbed them off. And if you had three, what they call them, apples in a row or cherries in a row, you would, you see. He says, so this is what we've decided to do. He says, and he says, we did a trial run. He says, you wouldn't believe, he says, it just went like wildfire. They started selling these by the million.
Wow.
He says, we had to get graphic artists in to redesign all the new ideas, taken from the pinball machines. So they came up with all these. He says, this firm now, he says, you have to come down and have a look, because you wouldn't believe the size of the place now, which I did. I went down, you know, that for full colour printing machines. Well, full colour machines are about 30 or 40 foot long. Massive machines. And I said, dear me. He said, so you're coming in as a director? I said, oh. He said, what's the matter? I said, I'm not sure. I don't know. I said, I don't want to take this kind of... He said, well, you'd be a fool if you didn't, you know. Because when he came to see me, he took me out to see his car, which was the Mercedes, you know, brand new Mercedes. And I thought, whoa, you can't go wrong here. I was on the push bike. But at the same time, I thought, if I commit myself to this now, there's no way am I going to be able to leave. And Lynn was so poorly now, you know, she was not bedridden, but she couldn't get around very much. She had to. Well, Denise was 12, 13, Robert was 11, Carl was 9, and I was thinking, I can't do this, I can't do it. And especially take on a directorship, because I know what they're like. I know what these companies are like, and I'd already experienced it, you see, once we were taken over by Norton and Wright, because I still hadn't made my decision. As I say, we were printing for high-class solicitors and accountants. And of course, there's nobody worse than a solicitor if he doesn't get his own way. And of course, we were printing letter headings and business cards and everything for solicitors' offices, all the stuff concerned with wills and testaments and mortgages. And so I was trying to keep on top of this all, and this was the stress, because every customer wanted their stuff today. Of course, Mr. Wellborn goes, yes, I will get it to you tomorrow. No problem, no. And they come on my desk and say, tomorrow? How can I do it tomorrow? Oh, you'll find some way around it. Do half of theirs and half of theirs. But of course, when Norton Wright took over, all of a sudden these pallet loads used to arrive of paper. And I say, what's this for? Well, it's for Norton Wright's. There's the plates. They wanted printing. I said, but I've got to, oh, you'll have to do that. How the car? Oh, you've got to do it. Well, of course, I was just an employee. I said, okay, right on, which I did. Well, of course, knock-on effect. I was getting telephone calls from Hadaway solicitors. Where are my letter headings? Where is such and such? Well, why haven't you? Because I don't want any excuses. I want to know where they are. Why are they on my desk now? You Mr. Wellborn. And of course, Mr. Wellborn used to go, Dennis, a word with you. I said, what? I've just had, what? I said, look, it's not my fault. It is. You're responsible for it all. I said, look, I've got Norton and Wright on me back all the time. They're coming to me and saying, we want our stuff now. Oh, well, I suppose, yeah. Well, you just have to get some more staff into it. I said, you know, it is difficult. It is just to get staff in and just do things. I said, well, I've got the room for a start, you know. And this is happening now. It's not tomorrow, next week, next year. I said, you're going to plan these? Oh, you'll find a way around. You'll find a way around. Well, of course, I found a way around. I thought, no way. So I went back and I said, I'm packing it in. Well, she was, you know, upset, heartbroken. The kids were... I said, well, look, honestly, I can't do it, Lil. I'll kill myself at this rate. It's no good. So I'm going to have to go. I'll tell you what I'll do. You stay here with the kids and everything, because I was buying my own house by this time. You stay here with the kids, and I'll go back to Newcastle, and I'll find myself a job there, and I'll just send the money down, and, you know. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I said, well, no, if that's what you want to do, it'll be all right. We'll find a way. She didn't want to go back. I know I didn't want to go back, but at the same time, she could see the struggle I was having. I was getting grey by this time, you know. I just so tired out. So we made the decision, just up sticks and went back to Newcastle. Told my parents, I said, well, you can come and live with us for a while, you know, till you find your feet and find yourself a job. So went back to Newcastle with my kids and lived with my parents. And when I got started looking for a job, I thought, oh, I don't want to work for anybody else anymore. I don't want to go through all this again. From the sale of my house, I'd rather bit of money, so I thought I'll invest it and start my own business, which is what I did.
Yeah. Was that quite common in those days, or is it sort of?
Oh, that's easy.
Quite forward.
That's easy to set a business up. Anybody, you know, if you've got a bit of money, everybody will take it off you, especially solicitors, you know. So I had a great solicitor mate here. I went to see him, and I said, I was thinking about setting up a business. Well, what you need to do is this, because he was a company law thing. He just set me straight up, no problem at all. Well, it cost me £100 to set it up, you know. Find a place, I had to find a place, which I did. Again, I fell on my feet because I found this little place in Newcastle. It was a little warehouse that was run by a company round the corner, a wool company, and I went to see them and they let me have it. Very cheap rent, and I mean, it was a struggle, it was hard work. I only had a little hand press printing machine, a few 10 bits of type, and I used to set up little business cards, you know, toddle around the town with my little bag and try and sell 100 business cards, which was really hard work. I didn't realise how hard it was going to be. But never mind, I did it. And the perseverance, as they say, pays off.
Yeah. And
one of these days I was walking past this massive place in Newcastle called the Old Assembly Rooms. A beautiful place, it's 18-something, you know. And I was all, shall I go in there? Nah, they won't put any business cards. But I thought, why not? Go in and see. Again, you just don't know. Went to the reception, I said to the receptionist, hello, my name is Mr. Westgate. I've just formed my own little printing company, and I've just come to make, you know, present myself and see if you want any way in the way of business cards. Thinking, well, in the corner was this guy, you see, and he came across and said, what's this? Who are you? I said, I'm Dennis Westgate, and I'm just setting up my own little printing business. Oh, printing. Let me have a look. Oh, business cards, yes. Oh. Have we got anything for this young man? I believe in, you know, supporting young businesses. And the girl said, well, not really, you know, we could do some paper. Can you supply paper? I said, no, I can supply a bit of paper. That'll do. He says, hang on a minute. He says, just a minute. So he goes back into the corner. The other guy was his brother, so happens. And he came back, he said, look, we're in the middle of setting up something, and we'll be wanting to send some invitations out for it. He said, do you think you could manage that? I said, no problem at all. He said, come back tomorrow, and we'll tell you what we want. So which I went back next day. I couldn't believe me luck, you know. I think, I'm all business cards, invitations. So, yeah, went back to see him. He said, yeah, we are. This is what I want. These are the invitations. It's inviting to the opening of the Casino Royale casino. next door. Was part of they're actually opening up the next door to the casino. He says, come and have a look, come and have a look. He takes me through, I mean, James Bond had nothing on it, you know. All the big relatives, everything all ready, shining, sparkling, ready to go. He says, so I have an opening day next week. He says, I need the invitations for that. Can you do it? I said, oh, aye. How much is it going to cost? I said, well, how much do you want to spend? He said, oh, don't worry about money. Don't worry about money. He says, how much do you think it's going to cost? I said, whoa. How much do you want? He said, oh, I want 500. Oh. Quick calculation. By this time, 500 was about 100 quid, which was an absolute fortune in the 80s. So I said about £110. Oh, right. Jane, give this man £110. I said, but I haven't done it yet. He says, you'll need the money, won't you? I said, give the man, will you sign for it? I said, yes, give the man £110 for... I walked out of there. I just couldn't believe it. And that man, to my life, saved my life. Homer Michael Leeds. He's still there in Newcastle. His son, Anthony, runs the business now in town. And they were the making of me. Because I got all the printing work. I got all the casino work as well. And I mean, my turnover went from about 400 a year to 1,000. I just couldn't believe it. And really, from then on, I became a printer and ran the business for 30 years. In the meantime, Court Lil got worse and worse and worse, and she died in 1995. It was something we were all expecting because she had been really ill for a lot of years. So this is how I actually got into writing, because I used to sit up with her night times, when she was poorly, looking after her, and I'd already got myself into a bit of a stress state trying to run a business now, because I didn't realise how hard it was to run a business, and then have staff on top of that and pay wages and pay VAT and look after the poor wife and 3 teenagers. And I started to get chest pains. So I thought, oh no, I go see the doctor. So I went to see the doctor. He said, oh yes, down there, Mr. Westgate. Let's have a look at you. He says, nothing I can see there at the moment. But he says, I'll tell you what. He says, carry on the way you're doing. He says, and you'll be dead within 12 months. I said, really? He said, yeah. He says, you're just working far too hard, far too long, not getting any rest, too much stress. You've got to stop now. I said, well, I can't give up the business now. He says, well, you've got to stop doing what you're doing, getting yourself all stressed. He says, you've got to find an hour or two every day where you can do nothing but what you want to do. Just read a book, or think of something, going to do something, or find a hobby. I said, well, I've got time for hobbies. He said, look, he says, you won't have any time for anything if you don't. So I said, okay, I'll do as you suggest. He says, what do you think? I said, well, I've always wanted to write, I said, it's in my blood, really, because we used to write the pantomimes when I was a kid. With my mum and dad, we used to write the shows, So, and when I got to Yorkshire, I did a little bit of stuff there. So I started to do that. I used to just sit beside Lil's bed with my writing pad and just sit and write and come up with ideas. And
what sort of things was it? Was it lyrics you were writing, or was it stories? Or was
it was because I like to write pantomimes. I thought, I'll write a few pantomimes, I'll come up with some ideas of stories. But I always loved musicals. I was always well into musicals. I knew every musical from the 1920s right to the present day. Knew all the names, knew all the songs and everything. Fantastic. My mother used to take me to the music halls, and we used to go to the pantomimes, and I used to go to the pictures and see all the Sound of Music and all those. I mean, it was just incredible. So I was well into musicals. And I thought, well, I'll have a little go. And it really came because one or two of my staff were at loose ends. They all said, come play, nothing to do at nights, any youth clubs and nothing. They were for myself, like look at a concert party, do something like that. How can we do that? I said, well, I'll have a little theatre room and do a play or something. What can we do a play about? I said, as it so happens, there was a lot on the go at the moment about suicide in young people, I said, well, and as it so happened, one of my customers committed suicide, but that was for a different reason entirely. But that was the first thing that came into my mind. I said, well, do something about suicide, if you're so concerned about it, which they were, everybody was talking about it, do a play about suicide, Well, what can we do about suicide? I said, well, I don't know, I'll have a think. Of course, I had a little thing and another little thing and another thing, and 10 notebooks later, I had a lot of thoughts. And I went back and I said, well, look, I've got this idea about a grain of sand, about the sand of time running out, and you're trying to stop this grain of sand from the last one from dropping in, and you're trying to save this girl's life. I said, you're a young girl, so there's nobody better to talk about teenagers and suicide than teenagers, because they understand them better. It's no good older people talking to teenagers that don't listen. Well, you're a psychiatrist, so you understand a little bit about suicidal teenagers. I mean, they're suicidal for all sorts of reasons, aren't they? You can't get into the problems of young people committing suicide. A lot of it's drama, of course. I mean, sometimes it's just put on. But nowadays, when you look at it, you think, blimey, some of them really do commit suicide. What a waste. Yeah. So I came up with a storyline about a grain of sand, about a young girl committing suicide, and the actual players, they're angels in heaven. They've all been killed. None of them committed suicide, but they've all died. One died of a drug overdose. One died of rape. She was raped and murdered. One was drowned in an accident. One was killed on a motorbike accident. So all these girls had different reasons for being dead, but they had a good reason for being alive. So Corky I call it, which is Corky, which is the Cork, They're all in heaven, you see. They've all arrived in heaven in the book of themselves, and they can see down on earth and they see this girl in the bedroom committing suicide, you see. And of course Corky looks down and says, "Oi, missus," the angel, "Oi, missus, what you doing about her?" And of course, the perfect angel, "Oh, we can't do anything about her. No, couldn't possibly, Oh, she's down there. We're up here. I'm a head angel, You can't do nothing about her." And of course, she's good as to, well, why not? We can see her, Yes, you can see her, but you can't communicate with her. She's living in your... And they say, but there must be some way. So one of the other girls says, "Oi, missus, I've heard that, when you die, you don't really die straight away, do you? You sort of come out of your body, because I've heard people talk about out-of-body experiences and go back in again." And she had the same experience. "Oh, well, she will have. What will happen is that spirit will exit the body." She says, "Oh, that's a good idea. No, never thought of that. You could communicate with the spirit, and if the spirit is convinced that life is worth living, then she will go back into the body of the girl will live, you see." So this is the story. And this is what happens. It's done through a series of songs and presentations by the girls, and the girl lives. So that's just the story of a grain of sand. So they turn the grain of sand, the hourglass over, and you can start our life again. And I did put that on way back in the 80s. With this theatre group that I had formed. Girls couldn't sing or dance enough, but they were all so keen, so eager to do something. So we did it. But I couldn't keep it going, you see. I mean, I couldn't run the business, look after a poorly wife, and run a theatre company, which is just hard to let the theatre company go. But I kept on with the writing, and this is where, of course, I still wrote. And I was quite happy with it. But I wasn't happy with the story, with the title, Grain of Sand. And one of the lines, one of the girls says, "Oh, she's just like a little broken doll, isn't she?" Well, my business was opposite a pub called the Coach and Horses, and the new management moved in and changed the name to Broken Doll. Well,
it's a sign.
Well, how could you? So that's where the broken down came from. Then, of course, after that, as I say, Lil started to go downhill, and I started, and she died, and of course I had more time to write then on my own at night times. I spent quite a bit more time. And then I got to the position whereby another thing that happens in your life you don't know. I had this little business, as I say, in Newcastle, and I got a notification of what they call it when they kick you out again.
Eviction?
Eviction. Well, it wasn't. It's because they're clearing the roads. The name for it again.
Compulsory purchase.
Compulsory purchase.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good
Well,
one.
I didn't get the compulsory purchase. Of course, the landlords got it. They
Yeah.
came out and said, "Some days you're going to have to get out." I said, "Wow, get out. We've got a compulsory purchase here. They're widening the road, so this is the building's coming down." I said, "Oh God." So I've got to find somewhere else. So one of my customers was an estate agent. It just so happens. How lucky can you get? And he found me after a while the old PDSA building in Newcastle. That was the cat and dog shelter.
Yeah.
Which was, it had just come on the market again. It just come on the market. And they were wanting to get rid of it quickly because they were moving into new premises, so this was going to be cleared out and they wanted to get it sold. So I got first offer, and I got it. I had to fiddle the mortgage, but I got it. So that was smashing. So I moved into there, and it had a great wide forecourt at the front, where you could park your car, no problem, So I was in there 5, 6, 7, 8 years. For the first 4 years was fine. Then I got a compulsory purchase of my house because I bought my house. I was living in the council house, so I bought it. Well, I was buying it in Nongbenton. Compulsory purchase. They're knocking it down. That's this area. So again, I was having to get out of my house. I'd just be kidding out of my pub, out of my building, out of my printing building. That was the house. Of course, I mean, when they made the offer, I said, "Well, I'm not taking that. How the hell am I supposed to buy another house for, 30,000 quid? It's just peanuts." "Oh, well, you can't have anything else." I said, "Well, I'm looking at loot." "Well, that's the offer. You have enough to put down on another house." I said, "I'd put down another house, and I'm just virtually paid for this one. I'm not going." "Well, you have to." I said, "I'm not. I'll stick here. You can send the bloody bulldozers in, but I'm not moving out of this house until I get another house. And I want a 4-bedroomed house. This is my 4-bedroomed house. I want another one." "Well, you can't do that. That's just impossible." I said, "Well, I'm not moving." So, I mean, they were knocking houses down around me, and I was still there. So they came to see me again and said, "Well, look, all right, we'll get you some, we've offered somewhere else. We've got you a nice little flat." I said, "A flat?" "Well, yeah, it's a lovely flat." I said, "A flat? What a flat?" "Why not? You're already living on your own." I said, "Does that matter?" "Oh, yes. We don't give houses to people. You've got to be, be a married couple." "Oh, so it's my fault my wife's died, is it? If she hadn't died, I'll get a house." "Oh, you would get a house then." I said, "Well, she's still alive in my head. So I want a house." "Oh, you can't have a house. I want a flat." "Well, I'm not moving." I was the last house down there. Just wouldn't move. So eventually they came and said, "Well, look, okay, we'll offer you a 3-bedroom house. Which is, go and have a look, see what you think." So I said, "Right, I'll go and have a look." I wasn't bothered, the house, it's all right. I wasn't having a flat. So I got myself into a council house, which I'm in now still. And that was it. So that was my compulsory purchase of my house. A few months later, I got another compulsory purchase on the forecourt of my business. We're going to widen this road, so we need your forecourt to park a car. Oh, so I can't believe this. This is 3 compulsory purchases within 18 months, 2 years. Had to go ahead with it, of course. The both of forecourt. Was it 18 months later or 2 years later? Another compulsory purchase on the business. They were knocking the whole street down. We're going to put a hotel in and whatnot, So that was the 4th one, compulsory purchase. By this time I was nearly 70, I thought, there's no way am I going to move this business again. No way. So I said to my staff, I only had 2 staff left by this time. So I said to Sharon can't remember her name, and Fred. Fred was working for me. He was doing my books. Fred was 90 odd. He worked for Tyne's Television. He was the chief accountant of Tyne's Television. But he came to see me when I was applying for an office manager. You know, he came to see me, and he was in his early 70s then. But by God, he was a bloody good bloke. He'd been a major or something in the army. He was in Dunkirk, you know. And, great fellow was Fred. Wow, fantastic bloke. So I said, well, I'm not going to start again. I'm just going to pack it in. And of course, poor Sharon was heartbroken. She said, what am I going to do? I've worked for you for 15 years. I mean, I just don't want to work for anybody else. And I can't get a job as good as this. I said, well, I'm sorry, but I can't do it. I said, well, look, I'll tell you what, why don't you run this business? You've got all the experience, you do most of the stuff now. Yeah. You and Fred, and I'll just, take a back seat and you can do it. She says, do you think I could? I says, well, why not? If you don't, you've got your redundancy money, you could set yourself up, we'll find you a little place and you can set up the business and you could work it from there. And of course that's what happened. Sharon had, 3 brothers, 3 strapping brothers, and don't mess with us, we saw you. And they came in and they helped to build this new place. It was in the railway arches.
So no way that they'd get rid of the railway arches then, would they?
Oh no. So that's what happened, and then I went to work with her on the understanding that I would have a little room in the back where I could sit and do my writing. So that's how I really got started writing my shows. And then from then on, we just carried on. As I say, I just started writing my shows and writing music and whatnot. And then after about 5 years, Sharon's business started to go down. This is all because of these damn things here, these printers. Inkjet printers. Everybody has an inkjet printer. Yeah. They all printed their own cards, they all printed their own stuff. And of course our business just started to go down. So I said, Sharon, look, love, you're going to fail now. Your business is going to crash. You might as well sell up and get rid of it now while you can. Which I helped us, close it all down. Which she did, and Sharon works for another printer now. And I just went back home and built myself a little shed in the back garden and took all the stuff that I'd had, which is what all the stuff around here, and I put it in my little shed in the back garden and went to work there, which I did for a year or 2. And then I got to the point whereby I had so much stuff in the back garden. Oh dear. I'm going to have to find myself a little place in Newcastle. I didn't want to stop because I was just getting into the run of things. I was really enjoying writing and whatnot. I thought, I'll look myself a studio in Newcastle. And of course, again, that was quite a long story, but I arrived here and opened this place. And here we are, where we are now, 2 years later, 3 years later. We're doing okay. As far as the writing is concerned, we're still trying to get shows on the road. This is the biggest difficulty we have. My main reason for writing musicals was to give young people the opportunity to be able to perform. It's very difficult nowadays. I mean, how many are going into college and doing the performing arts, and they're coming out. I mean, there must be hundreds, thousands every year coming out of performing arts. There's no chance of getting a job. No chance of getting. A few are lucky, and a few of the extremely talented ones are lucky. The rest of them end up on X Factor, which never gets any there. Britain's Got Talent, or they end up paying out thousands of pounds to go for special courses and whatnot, which is a waste. So I said, no, I don't need the money. I've got me a little bit of money from my retirement. I got my little pension. I pay the rents and everything. So I bought all the new equipment, and, camera equipment and sound equipment. So everything is paid for. So it's really ready to go. And Amber's the only one really who was with me at the moment. Amber joined me last year, and she a little trooper, because she loves musical theatre. She wants to get involved in musical theatre, but how do you get involved if there's nothing to do?
Yep.
And this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a musical theatre here in Newcastle for young people who have talent but don't have anywhere to display it. And most of these shows are specifically written for that age group, because I do cover a wide range of music and plays, from science fiction to Inside a Computer, to Grace Darling, of course, a great classical story, to Platform 9, which is, a railway station. Our Planet Origami, which I wrote for Amber, as my little present for her for sticking by me,
Lovely.
So all those 3, 6, 9, 12 musicals, they're all written and ready to be performed. Some have been done. The Grace Darling one, the Platform 9, the Broken Doll have been done in York. A friend of mine called Charlotte Gray, she got in touch with me when I was trying to put a little show on up here for Oxfam. Oxfam got in touch with me and it said, we're looking for people to do a little show to raise money for Oxfam. I said, oh, no problem, I'll do it. Until I tried to get people to come and do it. Not easy. So I was just on the throes of giving it all in when I got this email from Miss Charlotte Gray saying, understand you're doing something for Oxfam, we'd love to help, you see. So I sent her an email back and said, oh, great, this is fantastic. Unfortunately, I was thinking about not doing it because I haven't got any cast, because I said I'm trying to present my own musicals in a form of want to sing, want to dance, which is songs and dances from my musicals. And she says, really? Can you send me something down? I said, aye, I can send you something down. So I said, these attachments, the music, some of the music. And she came back next day and said, oh, did you write these? I said, yeah. She says, I can't believe you can't get anybody. I said, well, I don't know anybody. I've been a printer all my life, and I've been sitting in a little hut in the back garden. I'm not one of the in crowd with the hoity, So I said, I don't know anybody in the business. All I'm concerned with, is just to do a little show, just to present my music. She says, well, we'll do it. She says, can you send me this, post me down the scripts and whatnot and some of the music? She said, I can't do it all because you say it's in the fortnight's time. I said, aye. She said, well, post me down what you've got. So I said, what's your address? She said, something York. So I said, well, can I ring you? So she said, yes. So I rang her. I said, you said York? She says, yes. I says, I'm in Newcastle. She says, yes, I know. I says, but you're talking about York. Newcastle coming to do a show. I said, can you, I says, rather a long way from Newcastle to come and do a show. Oh, she says, that's not a problem. She says, we're so enthusiastic. She says, we'll get on with it. She says, that's not a problem, man. She says, we all got cars and whatnot. She says, I've got a good little group here of folks, She says, we work out of the railway. Her father was a railwayman. She says, that's why I saw this Platform 9. I thought, I'd say, it's great, is this? What a great story. So she says, definitely will come up. She says, just post me the stuff down, which I did. She came up, and we did the show. She couldn't speak to me afterwards because time was getting on. I had to get back to York, because the show didn't finish until 10:15. So she says, Eden, she says, I must dash. I'll be back next week. I'll come back with Donna, and maybe I'll come back and have a word with you, which they did. They came back and said, hey, we can't believe that you can't get anybody up here to do your stuff. I said, well, I haven't really tried. I don't know anybody in the theatricals. She says, look, can we do, she says, Platform 9, can we do that? Yes, and she says, this Broken Door thing, what a good idea that is. She says, this one you've done the draft of, this Grace Darling. She says, hey, that's a fantastic story. That's a fantastic story, is that? Oh, she says, the music. Oh. Anyhow, she says, can we do Platform 9 first and then think about the rest? I said, you can do what you like. I said, she says, well, we'll put a little band together. She says, we'll do Platform 9, come down, see what you think. If you're happy with it, she says, we'll do the Broken Doll, which I'd call Broken Wallet. And then she says, we'll look at the Grace Darling one. which I did. Went to the platform there, thoroughly enjoyed it. And unfortunately, they had no money, so they didn't video it. You know, and I thought, what a shame, could have no reference to it. And I was talking to the guy, the band leader, you know, he said, hey, he says, I really enjoyed this doing it. He said, well, when you could hear the music, you know, the rock and roll, he said, well into that, you know, and the engine driver, he says, great. So I came back to Newcastle, and they did the Broken Doll, and then they came back to Newcastle again to see me, to say, we definitely want to do the Grace Doll. We've talked to everybody about it. We definitely want to do it. The only problem we have, we can't afford an orchestra to do this. Is there any chance of you being able to do an orchestration of the backing tracks? I said, so I've never done one before, but you know, give it a try.
Give it a go.
So we did. And they did the Grace Doll, for which we did video, but I mean, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. And then that was it. That was as far as I got with the shows in York. And after that, of course, I mean, because I hadn't finished anything else, Charlotte was coming up with ideas that she had that wanted to do. Although they could write libretto, they couldn't write music.
Yes.
So they said, we were thinking about doing Alice in Wonderland. Would you like to tackle the music for that? Which I did. And because that went down a bomb. Went down so well, they took it to Bridlington, Bridlington Spa, and then they brought it back to York again.
Yes.
Because it's been so popular as the Alice in Wonderland one.
Didn't you do Peter Pan in the
Oh
summer?
yes, I did Peter Pan. Well, the next one to follow that was Alice in Wonderland, Pinocchio.
Yeah.
She came back and said, Dennis, you know, just like, Dennis, yeah. We have decided what we're doing next. And it's going to be Pinocchio. How do you like that one for an idea? I said, that sounds great. Aye, I was doing the music. She said, well, you know. And that's how it's been ever since. After that was The Little Mermaid. And then they brought Alice in Wonderland back last year. And this year they've just done Peter Pan, for which I did the music. So I'm up to date now. All right.
So who is this aimed at for our listeners? Is it schools? Is it?
Well, it's schools, colleges, whoever can do a show, whoever wants to do a show, and not just doing a musical. I know musicals can be expensive to mount and present, but you know there are a lot of performers out there who are just looking for half a dozen songs to perform. You know, and do songs that I have because I've got loads of them, and I've just put them on this new Selfie website. You can look at them. They're all in. You know, there's 12 albums there of 10 songs in an album, so there's 120 odd songs there. That is, you know, the songs all over the place. But you know, and if they wanted to do, say, Alice in Wonderland, because there's no copyright on it, they can write the libretto. But if they can't write the music, here's the music. They can buy the album and do the music. Same for Pinocchio. Same for all of those shows. So I'm hoping to do Wind in the Willows, but I don't know if I'll get down to it. But you know, to me they're easy to do.
Okay.
Songs are not hard to write for me because I've written so many in my life that once I get something a bit between my teeth, I can go at it. And you know, at the moment, of course, I've nothing to write for. But I want to try and get what I've already done out there somehow.
Yes.
You know. And if we can get some performers together, if I can get 12 great performers, we could do all sorts of things.
Yes.
So many things that could be done. And as I say, I watched this Britain's Got Talent and I watched this X Factor. I mean, I watched the vocal children's X Factor, the final last night, and that 14-year-old singer just blew your mind away. There was one 9 years old and one 10 years old. They're just absolutely incredible, you know? So there's loads of talent around, and this girl here is a great singer as well.
Oh, we'll have to maybe get Amber singing something for us.
Well, we've already got our singing things.
Oh, we'll share a link.
Yes. Aye. Because we've got all our recording stuff as well, you see. I mean, as the present for our last year, she said, oh, Dennis, do you think I could make a CD for me, Mum and Dad, of some of the songs that she likes to do, from Wicked and whatnot.
Great idea.
Which she did. And we made a CD, didn't we, to give to our Mum and Dad. So we've got facilities, we can make CDs, we can make films, we can make videos, we can do everything. We've got the green screen, if I can get some performers on that stage who are really keen, who really want to be seen, we can get them onto YouTube, you know, because there's no limit to what you can do in front of a green screen. As I say, from my point of view, that's all I want to do, because I haven't got the health or the strength or the energy to go out there and run around Newcastle doing things. What I want to do is here. Graham is going to look after the other side and try and get some of these musicals on.
Yes.
But you know, that's the whole point. The whole thing is to get Tyne music known in the Northeast, to be one of the creative groups of the Northeast of doing something new, something original, something that hasn't been done before. You know, anybody can do Oliver, anybody can do Mame, anybody can do any of those shows, but they cannot do original stuff. And it's original stuff that keeps the lifeblood of the theatre going. You can't forever be playing, you know, Les Miserables. And
No, it's
you've
true.
got to have new material. But the trouble is, who wants to listen to new material until they hear it?
Yes, exactly.
Now, you've heard some of my songs.
Yeah, I was listening this morning with a cup of coffee.
There you are. You see,
Lovely,
there's
lovely.
nothing wrong with the songs.
Great
That's
music.
right. Great music. Therefore, it proves the point that if I can get it out there, get some more young artists in to sing those songs, to present them, then we should be able to do what I've planned to do all along. And that's the whole point.
And that's hopefully how we can help a bit, is spread the word, and we'll share some of the links to the songs, and maybe Amber won't let us share the link of her singing, but
Get it on there. Yeah.
we'll get that out there.
Yes.
So if that's of interest, obviously we'll get people in touch. Now I think we've got Michelle's son Oliver. I think he's quite keen to ask you a question.
Is he?
About, well, he's going to ask you a question, isn't he? Take it away, Oliver.
So, Dennis, what advice would you have for a 10-year-old
A 10-year-old to do what? To perform, to write, to sing, or what?
to write?
To write. Well, you've got to... The first thing to do is to write. Write, doesn't matter what you write. Just fill as many pages and many books as you like with writing all sorts of rubbish. If you just keep writing, the idea of writing is to come up with ideas out of your mind. Original ideas, new storylines. If you look at all the classical stories, like Alice and Pinocchio, they all came from somebody's mind. They all developed. All my stories have come from my mind. And you have to do the same. Use your imagination. Write them all down. Doesn't matter how silly they sound. Eventually you'll come up with one idea that may be great. And you get a great idea, then you can start writing about it. It's hard work. It's not easy.
Okay.
I mean, if you're just talking about writing plays, if you're talking about writing musicals, that's much harder. Very, very hard to write musicals. But, you know, never say never. Never say it can't be done. All right. Are you sure you're happy with that?
Well, can I ask another question?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, what advice would you have to write, like, a musical then?
To write a musical. Right. Well, a musical is just a play with words and music, isn't it? Okay. But they have to marry together. It's like husband and wife. You see, songs and lyrics and libretto have to work together. If you can't sort of, well, you can nowadays, some of the musicals I've seen, but if you start writing a story about, you know, a young boy who's fishing by the river, okay, and he pulls a fish out of the river, now he might feel so happy about it, he might want to sing about it, okay. Well, you've got to find some sort of a song that would appeal to what the audience would want to hear about you being happy about seeing a fish in the river. You can't sing about a bowl of porridge because it doesn't make sense, does it? You've got to sing about something that is actually there in the storyline, because the story and the music must fall into each other and must come together as it should. You watch any great musical, and because they just break into song, they break into song for a reason. There's something in the line that leads up to it, okay? When you look at Oliver, when you look at the dustman, he's going to get married. Now, what's the first thing he sings about? I get married in the morning. Doesn't he? Eh?
Ding dong, the bells are ringing.
That's right. And the girl walking down the street selling flowers. Who will buy ma da 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 da. Okay, you see, and little Oliver when he's sitting, when he's at the window. Why, where is love? He's singing it for a reason, isn't he? He's singing it for a reason.
Yes.
And that's what you have to do with a musical. The music has to reflect the story.
You were named after a musical.
Oliver Twist.
Was he in Oliver?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you are, you
no,
see.
it was named after Oliver.
Was it? You got to pick a pocket or two, huh?
No, this child was born on Christmas Day.
Right.
So we had a decision to make, I suppose. It was either going to be Frosty the Snowman or Oliver Twist. So
Well, better Frosty than Oliver.
it's working.
But Oliver than Frosty.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, so that's why, is it?
Mm.
Well, there you are, you see. Aye.
Mhm.
That's good, isn't it? Huh? It could have been called Maria from Sound of Music. Mark. Yeah, that's very good. So there's a link in there, you see, with that story. You will always remember Oliver when you see it. And eventually, I suppose, you've seen Oliver, haven't you?
Yeah.
You'll have to know it inside out and backside forwards, because people will start asking you about Oliver. They'll say, "Oh, Oliver, you named after Oliver. What's that?" And if they don't know, I will have to tell them. Tell them the storyline, what it's all about.
I keep singing that Boy for Sale, but it's because it's the summer holidays.
Oh, what a good idea. Yes, of course you have internet now, don't you? Yes, I have no
Just put
problem
them on
with
eBay.
that. Yeah, Amazon, yeah, it's very good. Yes, there's one little point I'd like to add
Yes.
to anybody who would be thinking about doing these performances things.
Mm-hmm.
When they come here, we don't get charged them for anything.
Mm-hmm.
They get use of all the facilities. They get use of all the camera equipment. We can put them in the sound room. We can record them. We don't charge them for anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
For all, everything in here is free. The only thing we ask is that they do some of the performances from Tyne music players and music. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
If they can do that for us, we will then give them the opportunity to be seen and be heard and be recorded.
Brilliant.
Okay.
That sounds wonderful. That should
All right.
appeal to a lot of
Can't
people.
promise
Yeah.
any more than that.
Yes. That's
All right.
wonderful.
So they can get in touch through the Tyne music.
We'll be sharing all the links so everyone
Good.
will know exactly how to get in touch.
Right.
We always like to finish with one last question, don't we, Michelle? Which is, so if we could take you back to before you started on the railways,
Yes.
and you could give yourself a bit of advice for the future, what do you think you might have to say to younger Dennis?
Oh dear me, what would I say? Well, I mean, you could use the old cliches, live every day as you say it and enjoy every day, every moment. But to myself personally, I would, if I knew then what I know now, my life wouldn't be the same. But having said that, well, I wouldn't have done what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
You see, this is the point. If you go back and change your life, what are you going to change it to? Okay, if I changed my life and I'd decided that I wanted to be a composer, right, I might have been another Lloyd Webber. I might have been.
Yep.
But I might not have had the experience to be a Lloyd Webber. It's because I am now, and the experience I've had in life, that I can write what I write now. I couldn't do it without the experience.
Yes.
So the only thing you can do in life is get as much
Yes.
experience as you possibly can, and it'll stand you in good stead for the future. All right? There's a little saying. A wise old owl sat on an oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Now, wasn't he a wise old bird? My mother used to say that to me. It's very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave you with that one.
That's wonderful.
Okay.
Well, it's been wonderful chatting with you, Dennis.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
Oliver's enjoyed it. Michelle's enjoyed it.
Thank
Good.
you.
Oh, I talk to the cows come over.
So do we.
All right. Okay.
So we'll put all the links up. We'll get the songs up, and if that is of interest, we can either get in touch with Dennis or contact us, and we'll be happy to make a referral.
Righto. No problem at all. Thank you very much
Wonderful.
for your interest. Anyhow,
Thank you.
it's nice to have somebody come here for a change and see us. Isn't it, Amber? Yes. Yes, it is. Yes. Bless her.
And Amber's been here too, so thanks
Yes.
for joining us, Amber.
Okay.
Well, that was great. Thanks, Dennis.
Right.
Thanks everyone for listening. Check out all the show notes at inspirationnorth.com. Join us again for the next episode when we'll be chatting to another inspirational person. If you like this, subscribe and tell your friends. If you didn't like this, subscribe anyway.
And tell everybody.